Hey, what is going on guys, and welcome to the first episode of the Youth Club. This is a brand new FIFA 17 career mode on my channel, and I'm really excited to bring you my latest project. Now, as you guys know, during the years on FIFA, I tend to do like one or two challenge series alongside my normal career modes, and this is a new challenge series, my first one in FIFA 17, which I think you guys are really going to enjoy. Now, if you watched Saving Bray last year, this is quite similar to that. Not identical, but pretty similar, where basically I'm taking Wexford Youths, an Irish league team, and putting them in the Premier League. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, well, hang on, you said it's quite similar to Saving Bray. That is Saving Bray, but it's saving Wexford Youths. Well, not exactly, because in the Youth Club, there's a bit of a difference. Now, in Saving Bray, as you would know, we signed many different players that helped us stay in the Premier League, which was the series objective. Esteban Gira, Chumacero, Router, and of course Jackie Chan Singh as well. But in this series, we're not allowed to do that because the Youth Club is, as what you probably expect, it's all about youth players, and the only players we can use through the entire series are players that come out of the youth academy. Yep, that's right, every single player we'll be using throughout this series is going to come through the Wexford Youths Academy, hence the name, the Youth Club. Pretty clever, right? But yeah, the Youth Club is going to be all about trying to keep Wexford Youths in the Premier League whilst using just their youth players. So it's going to be an extremely difficult challenge, and I'm super excited to bring you it. And I would definitely say it's probably my toughest challenge ever. Saving Bray was really difficult, no doubt about that. We only kept them up on the final day last year, but this is even different because of course last year we had those players like Jackie Chan Singh who bailed us out and kept us in the Premier League. With Wexford Youths, we don't have that luxury of being able to sign new players. So it should be a lot of fun, but also really challenging. And again, I would say personally, for all the things I've done on my channel, this is the toughest challenge ever, keeping them in the Premier League. Now, what we'll be doing is signing free scouts. I've also redeemed a scout future star as well. Free youth scouts in this series, but I had to use the financial takeover to do it. The reason being is quite simple. Wexford Youths have a really poor financial budget, as you'd expect really, and because of that we need to sign the best scouts possible. Now, the reason I've done this, I didn't really want to, it's because the scouts, as you'll see in just a moment's time, the experience and the judgment are really important, and we needed scouts that had a high enough experience rating to pick us up enough players in a scout report to bring them into the academy and then promote to the first team straight away. Otherwise, if we only had the scouts that we could afford right from the beginning, which are like 1 star and 1 star, we'd only get like 2 youth players in the first report that we could put into our team, and because of that, going into the first game, we'd have to play players who aren't youth players, and of course that's the objective of the series. So for anyone out there thinking, oh, for goodness sake man, seriously, financial takeover really, it's just to buy the scouts, don't worry about it, I'm not signing new players, it's just to buy the scouts, just so I can get enough players in the report to get youth players into our academy, to promote them and put them into our first team. So I know some of you guys might be quite annoyed I'm not using the most basic scouts, but it's the only thing I could do. You only get 1 scout report per month from your scouts, therefore I need to buy the best ones with the highest experience. What's the rating here? What's the rating here? Really? What's the experience rating here? I had to get enough scouts with a high enough experience rating so I can get enough youth players into the academy. Why did I spend like 5 minutes on that point when you guys knew what I was talking about? Anyway, I also want to say as well, some of you guys might be sitting there thinking, this is very similar to Cutsy's Youth Squad Legends. Now, for those that don't know who I'm talking about, Cutsy is another FIFA career mode YouTuber like myself. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description down below. He is the founder, the originator, if you will, of Youth Squad Legends, and that's a series where he can only use players who are youth players in the game. The difference between Cutsy's Youth Squad Legends and the Youth Club is that in the Youth Club, we're only allowed those academy players, whereas Cutsy can sign newly generated players across the world that are youth players for his team when he brings them in, even though they're not coming through his academy. He's allowed to do that in Youth Squad Legend, but in the Youth Club, you're not allowed to do that at all. You can just work with academy players. That's where the difference is between those two series, but I just wanted to put that in there just in case people were accusing me of plagiarism. So yeah, I'll leave Cutsy's channel description anyway. That's Youth Squad Legends, a really cool series he originated, and this is the difference between Youth Club and Youth Squad Legends. Now you'll see as well, now, when I send my scouts out, I've sent one of them out to Ireland, I've sent one of them out to England, and one is going to America as well. Now, I want your comments today as well. Throughout this series, I will be scouting different nations across the world. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section down below what nations should we be looking to scout, because as you'll see, the scouts are only going on a 3-month mission. I want as much variety as possible, so in the comment section today, guys, let me know where I should send the scouts across the world. The first 3 are going on 3-month missions to England, Ireland, and USA, but where else should I send the scouts as this series develops? Let me know in the comment section down below. So yeah, I'm really excited about this project, and again, as someone who does like to do challenges from time to time, I've done things like the experiment and of course Saving Bray last year as well. I think this will be a really tough one, and I'm very excited to bring it to you as well. I do understand that some of you guys might be thinking it's a bit too similar to Saving Bray, but again, not being able to sign players is what's really going to make this challenge very difficult indeed, because again, with Saving Bray, when we brought in the likes of players like Jackie Chan Singh and Lookman and Chumisero, etc, those players kept us in the Premier League. With Wexford Youths and just having these youth players, I'll have no experience with the players whatsoever, know nothing about them, and it's really dependent on my scouts this series as well, because we will have some decent players coming through, at least I'd hope, in terms of potential. But in the first season, trying to keep Wexford Youths, name dropping, trying to keep Wexford Youths in the Premier League, as you see by the table, is going to be really tough. The Premier League is one of the strongest leagues in the world. It's one of the most competitive in the world. Keeping Wexford Youths in the Premier League with this really poor team, as we'll be assembling, you'll see the first 11 going into the first game in just a few moments time. It's going to be really difficult, because again, if the scouts return us really bad players, we're kind of screwed. I mean, I'm really dependent on my scouts to put in the work and find some good youth players with decent starting overalls. If they can't do that, I'm going to be stuck with really low rated youth players, some of which may not have any skill moves. And of course, I like to use skills in my series as well. That could be a difficult challenge for me too. Low weak foot ratings as well, and just players who in general aren't really fit for the Premier League. I'm really reliant on my scouts to do a very good job, bring us some good players to the academy who I can put in the first team, and they'll be good enough for us. And don't forget as well, because you can choose a type of youth player but not a position, what happens if we don't have a goalkeeper, for example? Then we're going to be really in trouble. What happens if we don't have a striker, for example? Then we're going to be in a lot of trouble as well. We're not going to score enough goals, because we're dependent on the scouts to put in to find us some good youth players, but also all across the pitch as well. They may find us 2 good centre backs but no good strikers. Then we're really in trouble. So it's going to be a tough challenge, and I'm very excited for it. Unfortunately, my scout future star, as you'll see, turned out to be an Italian left back who's 15 years old. So it's bad enough getting a fullback as our scout future star when we'd prefer it to be in a more special position like the goalkeeper or the striker. Not, downplaying fullbacks here. They can be very important, but of course you'd want one in a position which is a lot more sort of, the play goes through them a lot more, if you will. But you find us a 15-year-old left back who we can't even promote to the first team yet. He may stay 15 throughout the entire year, and that's a waste of a scout future star, so not really a great start. But again, this is what's going to make the series really challenging. Youth players all over the park who may not be good enough, players who may not be old enough to begin with as well. It's just going to be such a tough challenge, and I'm really excited about it. But anyway, you see the youth team right now, you see what current players we have in our academy. Our 3 scouts came back from the first month, picked us up quite a few players. We did have just about enough to field 11 outfield players, and there's also 2 goalkeepers on the bench. But as you'll see in just a moment's time, one of those outfield players is actually a goalkeeper, and this is the really funny thing about this series, which again I think is going to make it so challenging and also really unique, as well as quite funny too. Right now we have 10 outfield players but 4 youth goalkeepers in our team. So we've got 9 outfield players and 4 goalkeepers in our team. So our striker, we've got 1 youth striker and also 1 goalkeeper as well. So going into the first game, we have a goalkeeper partnering a striker up top. It's just going to be so tough really with this team, and you'll see the youth players here as well. This is the first goalkeeper we have, 54 overall, 17 years old. We also have 3 more goalkeepers as well. One is 46 overall, 17 years old. So you'll see the youth players going across the screen right now anyway. It's just going to be such a tough series because all of these players, very few of them are 60 plus. I think right now, if I remember correctly from last night when I played through this sort of warm-up, if you will, pre-season to get to the first game, I think we only had 3 players that are 60 plus overall. So yeah, that sums it all up basically. We got like a really poor team. It's far worse than Bray's last year, and that's saying something. That Bray team was really bad last year. But we've got no choice, you know, this is the best we can do right now, and we're just going to hope for the best. We do have a couple of good youth players with potential though. We've got one exciting prospect, an Irish centre-back right there, and also we've got an American centre-back too, who doesn't have a face. Out of all the youth players we've got, this is the guy that doesn't have a face, but he is a potential to be special player. So we have a youth player that's got potential to be special already, but he doesn't have a face. He'll be called the faceless man. I can't believe it. It's the one youth player that doesn't have a passport photo, and he's the one that's got potential to be special. Just typical, right? But anyway, you'll see the players across the screen right now anyway. There are a couple that are 60 plus overall. That is quite important. There's another potentially special here as well, a left back too, 16 years old, which is cool. That's another Irish player too. But again, for the most part, they're really poor overall players. They're really terrible for rating. And to keep these guys up in the Premier League, unlike with Bray, it's going to be a much harder challenge. We have no options to sign players. We can't sign anyone to the team. We just stuck. We're just stuck with youth players. They're all teenagers. Those are the only guys we can play. And I think it's going to be a great challenge, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun as well, because as you guys know, like some of you always comment and say, you know, you beast things way too quickly. You get way too good way too quickly. You make a team way too good way too quickly, and it gets too boring. Well, this series, there's just going to be a ton of progression, and it's just going to be an extremely tough challenge right to begin with. That's why I'd say it's my toughest challenge ever, because you'll see the first 11 right now going into it. There's a goalkeeper playing with a striker. It's got low overalls all across the pitch, and I can't sign a single player. I am just stuck with this team. This is the youth club, and I have to keep these teenagers in the Premier League somehow, despite the fact it's going to be a ridiculously hard challenge, because there is literally no way to make this team better. But anyway, guys, that will end the first episode of the Youth Club, so I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you are excited for this new project, then please do leave a like, as likes are, of course, very much appreciated, and they really help the channel grow as well. The next episode will be uploaded tomorrow night with the half-a-star Wexford Youths playing their first game in the Premier League at home to Jose Mourinho's Manchester United. Tough start, but I'm looking forward to the challenge. Hope you guys are as well, and I'll see you for the second episode of the Youth Club very soon. Tomorrow night. I just said tomorrow night. Why say very soon? I just said tomorrow night.